Hey, it's Dennis. Are you crazy? Maybe a little bit. Maybe more than a little bit. We talked about the obsession, and that's not normal thinking, right? And it's not easy thinking. When you are focused only on one thing, a very unhealthy thing, the focus itself is unhealthy, and the thing that you're focusing on is unhealthy. That's kind of a bad place for your mind to be. Addiction and alcoholism, it's considered a disease. And there are different reasons why it's considered a disease. Actually, some reasons are for insurance purposes, but other reasons it's just for diagnosis. But understand, it's not a disease of the flesh. It's not a disease of a bacteria attacking. It's a disease of the mind. You know that, right? Some people like that it's called the disease because then it's more objective and they can say, well, look at my disease, and it's easier to just deal with it if it's that way. It doesn't matter how you think of it like that. I don't think it matters at all. But it is a disease of the mind, and the obsession is wholly unhealthy. All obsessions are unhealthy. Some are more understandable. If you have a sick child and you're just totally obsessed on that child, well, I get that. But that's for, a different reason, and it's generally, hopefully, temporary. We're not talking about anything like that at all, right? We're talking about an unhealthy focus, an unhealthy obsession. The problem that we often have, that you may be having at this moment, is you're alone in your thoughts, right? You're not telling anyone what's really going on or what you're really up to. I wasn't going to. All my secrets were there, and they were going to stay there. The thing that happens when you're alone in your thoughts, your thinking is even more distorted, because when you talk about what's something that's going on in your mind, or just talk about stuff and you get it out there, you hear yourself saying it, and if it sounds a little weird or something, you say, oh, okay, well, that doesn't sound right. Or if you have somebody that you're talking to and you realize that they're saying, yeah, I don't know if that sounds okay. But we're not doing any of that, right? We're just alone in our thinking. So the thoughts become very, very distorted because they're not checked. There's nothing to check them on. They're just alone in our mind, going around and around and around. I'm going to tell you an example of that. So when I was drinking, right, I would be between drinks, let's put it that way, and I'd start feeling awful. I would start shaking. My mind wouldn't be focused. It would be far from focused. And of course, the obsession is going at full steam. It's going crazy in my mind, and all I can think of is a drink. Think, drink, drink. Right? Drug, whatever. For me, it was drink. And so that desperation that's in your mind, right? It is so distorted, so that I began to think that the problem wasn't my drinking, the problem was my not drinking, right? Because when I was not drinking, that's when I was really crazy. And I didn't think this, out on the surface. I didn't say, well, that's the situation. I just knew in the back that I needed a drink to function. So I was maintenance drinking for a while, and I was, going out at lunch and drinking, and I was doing, I was hiding stuff everywhere, and some of it I would drink to get normal, and only an alcoholic or drug addict understands that, right? I would drink and then everything would be okay, and I'd be just like I am right now, right? And I'd have a few drinks in me, and I'd be lucid, and I'd be funny, and and not drunk, right? I'd just be holding my own. And that's how it became my way of living. And so the problem wasn't my drinking. The problem was my not drinking. Now, do you understand how insane that is? That's just crazy talk. But it's it's reinforced by the way I felt and by my withdrawal that I would be going through. And I'd do anything to keep the withdrawal away. I want you to understand that I understand. I want you to understand that I understand that feeling of desperation, absolute, abject desperation for a drink. I lived that way. For 16 years, I was desperate for a drink, constantly desperate for a drink. It is a terrible way to live. And it is a not normal in the head, mind way to, it is not sane thinking, right? So, here comes the same old thing that I'm going to tell you, he's going to make me call somebody. He's going to make me talk. I am going to tell you to talk to somebody. In some small way to start. It's the only step towards not thinking that way. And I'm going to tell you that the hard truth is it's not going to happen all at once. When you do find someone that you can trust and you can tell some of this stuff, it's like this relief valve that goes off, and I'm not going to say you just can't stop talking, but it feels pretty good to have somebody that's not judging you, who's actually been through it. That is such a big deal. And I know pretty much every video I've left, I end with that. You got to talk to somebody. You got to talk to somebody live. If it's just online for now, that's good, but you really need to have a live conversation and at some point face to face. Scariness, right? I mean, it's bad enough picking up the phone, but then a face-to-face conversation, sheesh. But I'll tell you, the benefits are just amazing. And once you get past that, it is the beginning of such healing. Again, it's not going to happen all at once. That desperation for a drink is going to be there for a little while, and then the desperation, it goes to, it tapers. For me, it tapered. It just became less and less over time. Some people, the desire to drink leaves them right away. That wasn't me. But there are some people who just find the miracle happens. It didn't happen that way for me. It took a long while, and it took a lot of persistence. And it took a mother who was relentless in making me get sober, but that's another story. Love my mom very much. She passed a couple of years ago, and she was instrumental in my sobriety. But anyway, that's me for today. You might be a little crazy if you're listening to this, or if you've gone to the other side and you're sober now. Maybe you know somebody that's starting out, and you can, throw them this video. So I hope you have a good day, and that's me.